Good morning and welcome to another edition of The Collective. My name is Michelle Turner and I have the good fortune of being your host. It is with great pleasure that I bring in something or the music of, I won't say something, I'll say the music of, and the artist who created the music this morning. I have Waterbury's own Lamone.
What's up, Michelle? What's up, everybody at the Collective? What's going on?
Good morning.
Good
How are
morning. Good
you?
morning. I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm sitting here sipping on my coffee, waiting on my $1,400 stimulus to come in my account. That's what I'm doing.
Like the majority of us, right?
Yo, it ain't
We're
hit yet.
always like,
I'm like,
we're
Bonnie,
always.
what's going on? I need gas and groceries. Come on.
Well, did you get your little, email that said it's going to be here at X date?
No, I ain't get that either. See what I'm saying? I ain't on the list. Me and Bonnie got
Ah,
to have a talk.
yeah, you got to talk to Mr. Biden and the
Yeah,
IRS.
because I want to be in that number. When I'm saying,
Fully understood. Fully understood.
okay.
So, my first question to you is, besides how you doing, is music, has
Mm-hmm.
it always been a part of your life? Are you one of those people that hear it constantly in your mind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, ever since I was a kid, my father. One of my fondest memories. My father would always take me in the car and drive to Cutler's Record Shop in New Haven to buy
Wow.
all the latest albums and 12 inches back in the day. They used to come out, and he would bring those albums home and put them on a cassette tape so he could play them in his Cadillac. And, I'm riding with my dad in his cars and listening to all this music just pumping my head. And I was like a sponge just absorbing it all, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Because for me, that experience was my uncle had a barbershop on the south end of Bridgeport,
Mm.
and there was a record store that was run by a blind man named Spoon.
He was
And
blind. Wow.
was blind, and he had this huge record store. And my mother would listen to Eddie OJ on the predecessor of WBLS, who the OJs
Wow.
are named after.
Yeah.
And so he would do a top 10 countdown. And every Friday we would go to Spoons
That's what's
and we
up.
get those records. So I can
Listen.
I can relate to that experience, the excitement of it.
Now I wonder, him being blind, could he find the album you was looking for?
Not only could he find it, he knew when you were coming in the store, he knew how many people were in the store.
What?
And he did have somebody to
Kind of
ring
help him
stuff
out.
up,
Okay.
but he would stand by the cash register.
That's right, because you ain't getting his money.
Right. He would stand by the cash register and hear where keys were
Yeah.
being hit,
That's
you
where he
know?
probably had a little something back there too. You try it if you want to.
Yeah. And everybody respected him. And it was funny
Nice.
because I was talking to a colleague who liked music, but I never thought in a million years. He was like, "Yeah, girl, Spoons." I was like, "What? You
I've
went to
heard of
Spoons?"
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But with that, with
Mhm.
you growing up with music around you, when did you know that that was something you wanted to do?
Oh, I mean, it's always something I wanted to do. I was like one of those young, insecure closet singers. You know what I'm saying? Like back when it wasn't cool for dudes to sing. You
Yeah,
didn't really,
yeah,
you didn't really want the
yeah.
girls or anybody to know that you liked to sing because it wasn't the cool thing to do. But it wasn't until after I got out of high school, I became like way more independent, and I kind of hooked up with a local musician here in Waterbury called Carnegie Clapp. May he rest in peace. He was an awesome musician, and I just approached him one day. I just got the guts in me and said, I'd like to join one of your shows. And he was like, "Well, can you sing?" I was like, "Well, I think I can," but he was like, "Well, meet me down at this club at such and such time," and I did that, and so I guess he wanted to get a feel of where I was, if I could
Hmm.
sing, if I could stay on key. And he pretty much helped me out a lot back in the day, and that's pretty much where I got my first training from, where I first started singing out publicly, and I got up the courage to actually sing in front of a crowd. I mean, I was terrified, but once I got a good reaction, I was like, okay, I think I can do this.
So, no formal music training.
Formal music training, no. Let me tell you, I mean, all the albums that I listened to back in the day, the old school soulsters, like at the top of my list, one of my favorites is Donny Hathaway,
Mm,
yeah, Marvin Gaye, all the old school crooners, Luther, definitely Luther, the Al Greens, even a lot of female artists I would listen to. I would listen to Aretha, Shaka, Patty, all the greats, and I would study what they did vocally, and I would try to mimic what they did vocally.
hmm. Hmm.
So I kind of credit them as being my vocal teachers, and even like a lot of local singers, local artists here in Woodbury, like to me, Maya, just a whole bunch of singers that I would watch over the years and see what they do, and I would just try to mimic them, and that was like my voice training. you know?
Yeah. So when did you discover like range and whether you were an alto or a soprano or
Yo, I never knew what. I mean, it didn't come until later that I figured out. Okay, Lamone, you're actually a tenor, but the falsetto always came from mimicking the female artists and other male singers like the Philip Baileys,
mm,
the Al Green. Every time they were going to their higher register, I would try to mimic that. But like, oh, okay, well, that's what falsetto is. But naturally, I am a tenor. But for years, I had no idea what my range was. I mean, even to this day, like musicians will ask me, "Well, what key are you singing this in?" I'm like, "Yo, I have no idea. Just start playing, and we'll figure this out." Just start playing. And then they
and
usually
we'll
tell me, you're in the key of E or E flat, or.
that's funny. But now in doing that,
Mhm.
have you found that you are someone who can automatically listen because you trained yourself that way so you can automatically listen to a song and pick it up, or does it take you a couple of times? And do you read music?
I don't read music, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to work on right now. It's so funny because I've always wanted to learn. I really, if I could turn back the hands of time, I would have went to like a Berkeley School of Music or New England Conservatory of Music.
It's never too late.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely, it is never too
Never
late.
too
But
late.
but it was funny because I was told by a musician by the name of Ron Lawrence. He's out of New Haven.
Yeah, I
Great
know,
guitar.
Ron.
Ron is one of the greatest guitar players I've
Yeah,
ever heard. And he
yeah.
told me one day, he was like, "You don't even need to learn anymore." He was like, "Because you already know music. Like you're a singer. You're actually a musician, but you're just a vocalist, but you are a
Yeah.
musician." And I never looked at it like that. I'm like, wow, okay, but I still want to learn because I want to know the theory of music. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I would like to know how to write music itself. Like I can vocalize it, but as
Yeah.
as far as putting it on paper, like writing out those notes, I'm not able to do that yet.
So, but your voice is an instrument. It
Right.
serves as an instrument
Absolutely. I had to learn
because
that.
yeah. And I think anytime you hear a vocalist, you appreciate that. Be it how they hit a note or scatting
Yeah.
or imitating what the musician is doing. Like I've heard people kind of scat along with the guitarist. you
Absolutely.
know so
Absolutely.
it's a being a vocalist is different in the respect that you got to take care of your voice, right?
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. And b you know you really have to think in terms of what am I trying to get across to the audience,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because that's important. Have you ever been, and I've never asked anybody this before,
What's up?
but I know when people speak,
Mm-hmm.
they sort of get in a zone.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever been on the flip side of that? Like you go out and you know how you want it to sound, but it
Right.
doesn't turn out that way?
Oh, all the time. I mean, I'm probably my worst critic. I can't stand hearing myself in playback a lot of times,
Mm,
especially in videos, because I always hear the mistakes. I hear all the errors that everybody else doesn't hear. and I just hear all the mistakes. So yeah, being on the flip side is it's like fingernails in the chalkboard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. But you've done 3 albums.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
it
Make it
can't
make
be
sense,
too
right?
much self-criticism
Yeah.
because
Well,
you've done three
I
albums.
have, but
And people love your music.
I'm very thankful and grateful that they do. You know what I mean? Because I know it can be the opposite. And I'm pretty much careful as to what I put out there and what demographic and what audience I'm targeting. But yeah, I'm just glad they like it because it could be worse. I could be a part of cancel culture.
I don't think that is what is happening.
Oh my,
I think people are very receptive, and I
yeah,
think you do get a lot of support from folks in Connecticut wherever you go. You
I
know,
do.
because I've known people to say, "Oh, well, Lamone is opening," and I was like, and it's like, "Okay, well, if he's opening, there's going to be a decent show."
Wow, and
I've
that's
heard that.
really and
Yes.
it's that's so amazing to hear that because I've always, the times I have opened for people, like I've opened for Jill Scott, I've opened for Charlie Wilson, a couple of others. I've always felt like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like,
What
am I good?
is that like? Because that's my next question.
It's a
You
lot of
know,
stress and pressure because you're the opening act, and I'm sure you've been to many concerts. Most people ain't there for the opening act. They don't even care. They're still walking in the theater while
right?
you're
Finding their
singing, finding
seats.
their seat while you're performing. So it's like you got to get up there, do your thing. You got to kind of demand the respect from the crowd because they ain't checking for you.
Right,
So they're
right,
there for
right.
the actual, the headliner. So it's like your introduction. Like listen, people, I'm Lamone. This is who I am. I'm warming you up for the main attraction, but in the meantime, I got something to say. you know, it was very nerve wracking opening up for Jill because at the time Jill was, I mean, she's still awesome and great, but she was like kind of at the peak. You know, when
Yeah,
she came here to
yeah,
Connecticut, it's like whoa.
yeah, yeah. So, what's that process like? Walk me through that. Like, how do you, as a local artist, get chosen to open for somebody like a Jill Scott?
Good question. When I got the call, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Juan Castillo who called me about
Mm-hmm.
that. I think a lot of times it has to do with your style and the type of genre of music you do. They
Okay.
try to fit that with the artist, with the headliner. All I know is when I got the call that they wanted me to open for Jill, I felt flattered. I was honored, and I was like, Lamone, what are you gonna do? But at the same time, kind of had my hands tied. Like I wasn't allowed to have a band, which is what I'm used to
Wow.
having. I'm used to having my guys behind me so I can feed off of them. I can look to my right or my left and see Ron or J Ro or Trevor in the back
Right,
or whoever.
right.
I didn't have that. So they were like, no, you just like if you want, you could bring a DJ. So I was like, oh, okay. But
Ooh.
so I just went old school with it. I went hip hop. I'm like, okay, well, if rappers can do it with just a rapper and a DJ, then why can't I? So I called up my man Jay Lane. It's like, Jay, all they giving me is a DJ, so it's just gonna be me and you. So we just gonna hit it and quit
Wow.
it. Yeah. So
And how long did you have?
I think I only had. I'm trying to think. When I opened for Jill, I believe maybe only 20 minutes, if that. 20 minutes to a
So,
half an hour.
so how do you choose? How do you choose what you're going to do in that 20 minutes? Because, like you said,
Yeah,
it's sort of like you're the warm up. So you got to
exactly.
get the crowd ready. You got to
You
get them in
do.
the mood,
Right.
and you got to get them to pay attention to you because for every person, and no offense, but you'll know what I mean, for
Yeah,
every person that's heard of you, there's maybe two others that haven't.
that have not. Let me tell
So
you what I
you've got
did.
to draw folks in,
You got
right?
to draw them in exactly. So what I did was I told the sound crew. I said, listen. I'm not working with much. I don't have a band. It's just me and my DJ. But I'm gonna need a cordless mic. So I have my cordless mic, and I came up off that stage and I pretty much got in people's faces. It's like, you gonna look at me when I'm saying it. You ain't gonna treat me like I'm just nobody. And I'm walking through the crowd and I'm in the aisle and I see people coming to their seats and I stopped them right there in the aisle. I'm like, yeah, I know you late, but guess what? I'm here too. You gonna respect me. So that's what I did. And as far as picking the songs, I like to ask certain people, mainly the females, like, which songs of mine do you like? Which songs do you want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
And I pay attention to the feedback. You're like, Lamone, I want to hear this. I want to hear On the Rocks. I want to hear High Off You or whatever. So I just like, oh, okay. So I just kind of go down the list and do a medley and stay within the time frame that they gave me, because you don't want to go over.
Right. And you definitely don't want to be under, right?
You don't want to be under either. But that it's so funny because one show I forget. I don't know if it was Jill or Charlie, but I kind of went under slightly.
What, slightly, like 5 minutes?
Maybe 2 or 3 minutes,
Okay.
if
All
that.
right. Which is not bad.
I didn't think so, but they were like, yeah, you went kind of under. I'm like, oh, I was really trying not to go over, because I didn't want nobody pulling my sound out or cutting the light out of me.
Right.
I really wanted to make sure Lamone stayed within the time frame.
And then you don't want anybody dancing across the stage like at the Apollo.
Man, come on. If Sandman would have came out there, me and him would have had a battle. We would have did a kid and play kick step or something. I would have turned it into a show. Yeah.
But so in those performances,
mm-hmm.
who do you channel?
Ooh.
Or is it just straight Lamone?
It's pretty much straight me. I mean, I'm always channeling every singer that I've listened to and mimicked over the years. I'm always channeling them in certain songs. You can hear it. People always come to me and tell me, it's in this song you sound like you were channeling Marvin. I'm like, I probably was, or in this song, you went into a little Al Green. I'm like, yeah, probably. It comes out in everything I do, because they're all influences. But at the end of the day, I do like to give people Lamone. I am giving you me, but it's just a whole lot of other artists and influences that are packed in
that
there.
Come out, right?
They just come out.
Yeah. So songs are like children, right?
Yeah.
Somebody asks you if you got a favorite. You try to give a little bit of props to every single thing, because you really don't want to insult your work, so to speak.
Exactly.
But you got some favorites?
I don't like to call favorites, because I do like them. I do try to treat them all the same, but I do have a certain connection to "I Found Me Somebody," and that song actually started off as a gospel song.
Wow.
I started writing it as a gospel song, but I couldn't really, find the words, and it just kind of segued into a love song. I said, well, this song can be taken either way. If people listen to the song, you may think I'm talking about God. You may also think I'm talking about a female. And I would say that one, because it kind of hits home. It's very soulful, and it allows me to really stretch vocally. And that's the kind of soul R&B that I really like. I kind of cater to.
A little gospel tinged.
Yeah. It allows you to sing, allows you to stretch, and just be you.
One of the excuse me, one of the most interesting shows that I've been to was Anthony Hamilton.
Ooh, yeah.
And it turned into church in the middle of it.
Yeah, I wonder if we was at the same show.
We probably were at Oakdale, right?
I saw him at Foxwoods years ago.
Okay, I saw him I saw him at Oakdale.
At Oakdale. I think I missed that show. The one I went to, he had Angie Stone open up for him, and I think she probably regretted it. But yeah, it was the same experience. He went off,
Yeah.
and I was taking notes. I was taking notes. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So yeah,
You
you
talk
can.
about everything, right?
Yes.
Channeling, R&B,
Yeah.
gospel tinged. I mean, at one point they were shouting. I mean, it was
Listen.
just I was like
Yeah.
amazed. And not so much because of where it was happening,
Right.
but the simple fact that he had no shame in showing his influence.
Nah.
He
Yeah.
had no
Absolutely.
shame in showing his influence and what that meant to him.
Right.
And it was just, and of course, there were people in the crowd who
Right.
definitely responded. You know,
Absolutely. He made that connection to his
he
audience.
made that connection for people.
I think people
Is
want
that,
that.
yeah, but is that difficult as an artist
It
to
can
try
be.
to do?
It can be. Sometimes your audience can be very stuck up and stubborn. They don't even want to respond sometimes when you're trying to connect with them. It's like I'm trying to, trying to kick it to you. And
Yeah,
it doesn't always work out the way it's planned, but sometimes you just gotta humble yourself and just swallow your pride and your ego and just look people right in their face and just talk to them and speak to them.
yeah. Yeah, I think what I get from most artists is that you're kind of receptive already
Right.
because you're there to see whoever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're already open.
Right.
But I think sometimes people miss that.
Yeah.
Even if they're the main artist, they kind of miss that for whatever reason. Have they been on the road too long? Are they not feeling well? Did something happen before they go on stage? And sometimes it's
Yes.
it's just not there,
Right. I think
you
it's a
know?
little of all the above. You get into this routine, you have your set that you've been practicing so much that it just becomes monotonous. And I think a lot of artists, sometimes we do want to go left. We just want to go with the flow. Doesn't always work. But yeah, and also it depends on the stage. Sometimes you're on that stage, you can't even see the audience. Those lights are
Yeah,
so bright up
yeah,
there, and you can barely see the first couple of rows. You
yep,
know, depending on the theater that you're in. And when that happens, it's like, okay, let me just do the set that we practiced, and hopefully people will connect. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Do you need certain things? Like, are you about having the rug and, something that makes it a little bit more uh cabaret-ish? Or are you like, okay, it's just me and the band and we're gonna bring it?
right now it's just if I do a show, when I do a show, it's just me and the band. I just say a little prayer before I go on. And I just try to be me, and I just try to hope that I'm able to connect with you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't really need any. I would like to have some water in my dressing room to keep the throat a little moist, and maybe some water on stage, because a lot of
Yeah,
times when you're singing, our throat can
yeah,
get very dry with the lights and the smoke, the fog. That's
yeah,
sometimes they put on you. They have a
yeah.
fan or whatever. But I'm not a rug person. Although certain shoes I wear can be a little slippery. I almost had a slip one,
Really?
yeah, a couple of years back at a festival. It was actually raining and the stage was wet, but we
Ooh.
worked that out because I just took the shoes off and went barefooted. But I don't really require too much. I haven't become a Devo,
Yet.
as of yet. Yeah, I
As of
think I'm a
yet.
little too old for that. I mean, maybe if I was younger, it might have affected me. But right now, nah.
Not that, huh?
Nah.
Not that. Well, listen, we got a break.
Okay.
We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the new song.
Okay.
And Doc is giving me producer credit this show. So I'm going to try to play the song to take us into the break.
All
All
righty.
right.
All
So
right.
bear with me.
Gotcha.
All right, y'all. This is The Collective.
1 2 1 2. We're gonna send this one out to all the brothers of the world. I got something I wanna say. Just like life, still alright. 'Cause I am wise enough to know, even though I want to be a king, I ain't strong enough to handle everything that comes my way. Yet through it all, still I rise, born to be a king. Can't get lost of this magic, so they go and copy my logic. Why they wanna take all my magic away from me? I'm amazing, I am strong, but I've been down much too long. Lock me up, encage me, steal my crown in glory. You know, I often wonder why society is so afraid of me. Why so scared of me, but they won't steal from me. Wise enough to know, even though I want to be a king, I ain't strong enough to handle everything that comes my way. Yet through it all, still I rise, born to be a king. Can't get lost of this magic, so they go and copy my logic. Why they wanna take all my magic away from me? Got my hands up, please don't shoot, please don't kill me, too much to lose. When they see us, they fear us, conversations to be discussed. Is it really truly out there for me? Why you scared? A fascination of Why you so scared of me, but you won't steal from me? Wise enough to know, even though I want to be a king, I'm still a man. I ain't strong enough to handle everything, but I know I am strong, and still I rise. Like my man Kenny Burke said, keep rising to the top, yeah. Don't you let nobody stop you. Just like life, still alright. Born to be just like life, still alright.
And we're back on the collective. Me trying to run the controls and do things. My name is Michelle Turner, and I have the good fortune of having Lamone with me today. And I appreciate his time and energy so, so much. So thank you. Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
being here.
Appreciate
Let's
you as
talk
well.
about Born to Be a King.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, well, let me just
Mm-hmm.
back up and say you did a remake of one of my very favorite songs.
What's
You
that?
need to change your mind. But we're
Ooh,
gonna
okay.
that's one of my very favorite songs. This
Wow,
song
hope I
holds
did
a
it
lot for
justice.
me.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
But let's talk about Born to Be
Born
a
to be
King.
a king, yeah.
So, what motivated you to bring this to life?
Ooh, I mean, look at where we're at in the state of the world. Born to be a king was just basically me as a black man. I wanted to dedicate a song to us. And I wanted to come from the perspective of a black man. Dealing with the current climate of how we feel in this state of affairs that we're living in right now. I mean, you look at the past couple of years and look at the things that have been happening out there in the streets. It's almost like there's a target on our back. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand it. you look at all the different deaths, unnecessary deaths and
Mm-hmm.
murders that have
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Ahmaud Arbery, Philando Castile, Rashad, George
Yeah.
Floyd, Trayvon, Eric Garner. I
Yeah.
mean, just the list goes on.
Tamir Rice.
Tamir
And our
Rice,
own Malik Jones.
Malik Jones, Breonna Taylor. I mean, the list goes on and on, and it just makes you wonder. It's like, yo, what's really like? Are y'all really that scared of us? Like, do we put fear in your hearts? I don't understand. Let's have this conversation. Let's talk. But I really wanted to just remind brothers, like, listen, put
Yeah.
that crown back on, adjust your crown. You are a king, period. You know what I'm saying? And just act accordingly. And remind yourself every day that you wake up that you are royalty. And that's probably why the target is on our back, because this melanin that we have is worth more than gold. Trust and
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you didn't do too bad with the album cover, bruh. You definitely gonna get some attention. Just saying, you know.
Oh well, you gotta hit. It's so funny because we live in this era of everything is image. You know,
That's a little bit more than image.
well, I'm wearing a suit, Michelle. Listen, I felt like yo, I need a picture that's powerful, that makes a statement, that
Yeah,
catches
you
the
you
the
you
eye and
definitely are making a
attention. So
statement.
I
Definitely
felt
making a
like
statement.
if the woman can do it, why can't the men do it? Come on
Yeah,
now.
that's true. That's true. And we are living in that world now,
It's
right?
everything. It's like it's all about the image. It's crazy. And I felt as though, okay, now if I capture you with the picture, hopefully you'll listen to the song and the message.
Yeah, because that's what it's really about.
That's what
But
it's really about.
I think your female fans are going to appreciate the
I
cover.
hope so. I hope so.
I think so. I think you're gonna
Yeah.
get a lot of word of mouth from the
That's
cover.
what's. Hey, listen, I welcome it all. I love everybody, and I know my demographic. I know my audience, so I try to cater to them.
So, Born to Be a King
Mhm.
is an up tempo R&B type song.
Right.
And in this day and age, no longer do artists have to worry about it being their music being categorized, right?
I
Because
hope not,
when
but
I
yeah.
when I was a disc jockey, you know,
Hmm.
you had definite categories of music.
Yeah.
And now we've moved away from that. The artists have taken control, and you have taken control of your music.
Yeah. Well, I'm what you consider an independent artist, unsigned. I'm not signed to a label. All the funding is coming out of my pocket. You know,
Yeah.
I'm working a part-time job just to fund everything that I do musically. So it's really weird because I feel like R&B music, soul R&B in particular, is really being whitewashed. It's being watered down a lot, and it's still out there. But they're
But look
trying.
at K-pop. I mean,
Exactly.
I was like,
Exactly.
my mother and I always have this conversation because my mother is a lover, a
Hmm.
real true lover, and that's probably where I got it from. A
Right.
real true lover of R&B music.
Same
And
here.
so, listen, you name it, I've heard it in my house.
Right. Right.
This I can't remember, but it always used to make me laugh because on Fridays people used to gather at my parents' house.
I believe it.
So they had all the music, right?
I believe it.
And there
Yeah.
was a song, and they used to crack up. And so I was teasing my mother and a friend of hers recently because they had forgotten about the song. But
Okay.
the song was called "What Can You Do When You Ain't Got Nobody."
Why does that sound familiar? Like,
If I can remember the artist, I will let you know at another
yeah,
time.
please let me know because
But
that
it was
sounds
a
pretty
deep
familiar.
R&B song,
Yeah.
and it was Arthur Conley. And
Yeah.
then you had of course Sam and Dave and
Wow. Right.
all these
Right.
people. So
Yeah.
we always have a conversation about music. There's not a time that
Hmm.
passes that does not. And her point is always to me, I know that they're trying to tell you all that this is R&B music,
Yeah.
but it's really not R&B music. It's more of a beat or a sound
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to it being a vocalist. And a vocalist is what makes R&B music.
Are you referring to today's
Well,
so-called
she's
R&B?
comparing, yeah, she's comparing that music
Right.
that I am familiar with, those
And myself,
blues
right.
R&Bs, yeah,
Yeah.
the Sam and Daves, the
Yeah.
Arthur Conleys,
Yeah.
the Isleys,
A lot
you
of
know,
soul and gospel infused in that music.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
It,
nowadays, I don't know what they're doing. It's I don't even know what genre. It's almost like they erased the whole genre of soul R&B, and they're trying to turn it into something else. And I ain't really for that. Give
well,
us
the young lady, and I don't want to name names per
hmm
se,
Okay.
but there's a young woman who's up for a lot of Grammys out of
hmm
London. Very catchy music,
Right.
lot of sound.
Right.
Um, but it's it's R&B, but it's not R&B.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
I definitely know what you mean.
It's got all the parameters.
Right.
It's got the beat. It's got a bass line. It's got a sound. And her voice is not bad,
Right.
but it's more manufactured to me than it is organic.
Well, what they like the old saying says, they want our rhythm, but they don't want them blues.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And that's where
And that's
you
where it is.
you lose a lot of it. When you take away the blues, that rhythm is missing something. You know.
Yeah. 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 And I think that's what I hear. My poor daughter, that kid, I mean, she's somebody who has grown up because of the way that I grew up
Right.
with a lot of different sound and a lot of different music always.
Uh-huh.
And we always have this discussion. So I always laugh because I say, well, who are you listening to this week? And she'll tell me, I'm listening to Harry Styles.
Right, right.
And I'm like, okay, he's not bad,
Yeah.
you know. And I said, but, did you find that Parliament Funkadelic song that I told you to listen to online? You know. And so we go
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
And she appreciates R&B
Nice.
because of how I had the music in the house.
Yeah.
But a lot of kids don't have that.
No,
They
they
don't
don't.
know what it is. And a friend of mine, we were talking about the last probably great era of R&B was the 90s.
90s. I knew you were gonna say it.
The
Yeah, absolutely.
90s.
Yeah. The
And
90s.
even those people didn't necessarily have strong voices,
Some of them
but
did,
some
but a
of
lot
them
of them
did.
didn't. Yeah.
Well, listen, I love Big Bub of today.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
brother had a voice.
I had the pleasure of singing
Cisco.
with him one time. He came to Waterbury at a club.
Really?
Yeah, it was years ago, and me and him, I don't even know what we were singing, but we were going back and forth, and it was all love. That was a good experience meeting him. He's a very humble guy too. So
Yeah,
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 love his voice.
yeah. I
Very
loved his
distinctive.
voice.
Very distinctive.
Yes, I love Big Bub. I loved Drew Hill.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Cisco's just,
yeah, yeah, yeah. He barks. He sings. He sings down. They
yeah,
remind me a lot of Jodeci.
yes,
Yeah. It was,
yes. Well, somebody said recently that Rashawn Patterson is the child of
ooh,
Stokely and Raphael
absolutely.
Sadiq.
Two, three of my favorites you just mentioned: Rashawn, Stokely, Raphael. All three of them
Oh,
brothers. I would love to work with them. All three
listen,
of them.
I recently ordered music from him, and I said, "When are you coming to Connecticut?
Yo, seriously, like we
When are you
are
coming to
part
Connecticut?"
of the 50 states, y'all. I mean, I know we pretty small, but come on, don't just wipe with
Yeah,
a
you gotta come
y'all can
see
stop
us.
by. Yeah.
Yeah, come see us.
We got some venues and casinos y'all can come to.
All right. Yeah. So When you knock
Mm.
the big artist out of spots, what does that mean to you? What does that tell you? Like you knocked suit and tie out of the
Yeah,
box
that
at
was
one
wild.
point, you know,
Yeah,
and
that was
then
wild.
and and then nightlife came along and
Yeah, it was an
you
honor.
know,
Listen, when I got that phone call from Juan Coste, he was like, "Bro," he's like, you just knocked Justin Timberlake out the box. I was like, "What?" I said, "What you talking about?" He's like, "You're number one right now." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, you just knocked out Suit and Tie, and the Suit and Tie was rocking. That I ain't gonna
yeah,
front.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was my jam at the time. I'm like, Suit and Tie, yeah, I was bumping it. But then when Rearview Mirror came in and said, "Hold up, wait a minute, get on out the way," yeah, it was all love. So that was definitely an honor. So I was definitely grateful and thankful for that. That my home state, home radio station gave me that love, and the people of Connecticut really rallied in and showed me love. It was like, yeah, let's give it up to this brother. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight of my career.
What made you choose Girl, You Need to Change Your Mind?
To be honest, it wasn't entirely my decision.
Ha!
It was not entirely my decision. Now I am a fan of Eddie Kendricks. That's that's
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my teachers. Old
Yeah,
school, old
yeah,
school soulful singer. It was
yeah.
actually Josh Milan who was like, Lamone. He was like, you got this soulful,
And who is
sexy.
Josh?
Josh Milan is a very prominent, well-known producer out of Jersey, I believe. He now resides in Pennsylvania, but he's known for house music, but he's just an all-around great producer. But he has a huge house following. So when he hit me up, was like, Lamont, I think you need to do a remake of an old Eddie Kendricks song, "Girl, You Need to Change Your Mind." I've always loved that song, when he did it, and I even loved it when D'Angelo did it. So it was kind
Yeah,
of when Josh told me he wanted me to remake, I'm like, Josh, I don't know. I said, D'Angelo just like knocked it out. And then you talking about Eddie Kendricks, that was one of the lead singers of Temptations. There's some big shoes to fill
yeah,
here. So
yeah,
how we
yeah.
gonna flip this? So he was like, well, we're gonna do an old club version, clubhouse version. So I was like, oh, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, when I heard the track, I said, oh yeah. I was like, I think we can freak this. And so that's how that happened. It wasn't entirely my decision, but I'm glad I obliged to do it.
Well, yeah, because I can definitely understand your trepidation,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's
Those
why, it's things like Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On" that you don't hear people trying to attempt. And if
certain.
they do it like there's five people singing it,
You're
right?
right, right. You got to be careful with certain remakes. Everything don't need a remake, first of all, and when you do, you got to kind of put your own stamp on it. Hopefully, you don't downgrade it or mess it up.
Right, right,
Because those songs hold a special place in people's hearts.
right.
Like you said, girl, you need to change your mind. That's one of your jams. So I hope I did it justice. you
You
know.
did. It sounds good. I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
And I think the thing with that is, for a lot of people, that was disco music.
Yes. Yeah. It was big in the disco era.
It was big in the disco era. It was a club song.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, if you get the right DJ
Right.
to mix it down,
Yeah.
it's a
they
monster.
have you on that floor twirling and spinning. You
Yes,
forget
it's a
where you at.
monster.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you're right. I think there are certain songs, that every artist and should respect. But I also think if you have the capability to do it,
Yeah.
do it. If you
Right.
have the right people in the room, because that's important too, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's like following through on a goal or a
Right.
mission.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
that there's a certain sound that you want this to capture, or you want it to not only is there a message in the music,
Right.
but it's sort of it, I would think, I've never done this, but I
Mm-hmm.
would think you're paying homage to the artist, right?
Absolutely.
You've got a vision for the song, so there's a certain tempo, there's a certain sound that you want it to have, but
Right.
at the same time, you want it to be recognizable to people.
Right. I didn't want to go too far left with it. I did trust Josh's judgment. I always do because he's just such a he has such a great musical ear and mind.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when he handpicked that one, I was like, you know what? I get it. I hear it. I hear what you hear, and I totally get where you're going. But again, like I said, I didn't want to. I just wanted to do the song justice because that's Eddie Kendricks. He's an
Yeah,
iconic
yeah,
soul man. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And how long did that take you?
The studio
Was that
session, we knocked that out in basically a day.
yeah,
Couple of hours. But what's so funny about Josh and how he records me, Josh likes to let me warm up. Like I'll do like a run through.
yeah.
That's how I get my voice into shape. I'll do a couple of practice runs, but Josh records the practice runs.
Hmm.
Yeah, so and I think he does that because that's when I'm kind of comfortable and I'm just at ease. Because when you press that record button and I know I'm being recorded, now I'm trying to be perfect. I'm not really all that relaxed. I'm trying to pay attention to every note I'm hitting, whether I'm flat or if I'm sharp or whatever. But there's a point in the song towards the end where I got a little over rambunctious and I was a little too comfortable and I'm warming up and Josh pretty much kept all of it. And I was like, yo, I was just playing around. Like, you kept all that? He was like, dude, you was in the zone, so I just kept it. But I'm like, okay, so are we gonna edit some of this down? He was like, no. I'll clean up some things, but he was like, nah, because you was in the zone. And I was like, oh my God, Josh. But the people received it, so it's all love.
No, I think it was a good choice for you. Because
Yeah.
we also know,
Uh,
and I can say this from a disc jockey standpoint,
mm-hmm.
some songs ain't for some artists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some
Yeah.
like you're like,
Yeah.
shouldn't have probably done that.
She probably left that one alone. And there's a bunch
Yeah,
of songs that I would like to do that I keep telling myself, Lamone, leave it alone, leave it alone. It ain't for you. It ain't for you.
but what makes a song for you? What is it?
Oh, good question. I mean, there's songs I love. I just love, and I hear myself doing them, in the shower, in the privacy of my own home. But I'm like, Lamone, do you really want to tackle this? So, I guess you got to figure out is the song in your range? Is it in your key? And if it
Mm,
isn't, you better put it in your key, and
yeah,
you better
yeah,
somehow put your stamp on it, to make it for you. And because people are gonna compare you to the original,
right,
they're gonna compare you.
right.
So
Any
yeah, I
virtual
don't.
shows coming up?
As of right now, no, but that changes at the drop of a dime. Like, that can change at any given moment. I did have some talks with a couple of people about doing some virtual things. It kind of fell through because of the whole pandemic, situations. But as of right now, no, but, you know, yeah, that could easily change.
Well, I got a minute. So, what is it that most people don't know about you that you'd like to share with the public? And what
Uh,
should we expect next from Lamone?
what they probably don't know about me is that I'm very introverted. I think what you would call me is an ambivert. I'm like a
I've never heard that term before.
I
I'm
think that's what they
learning.
yeah. I think it's an ambivert where I'm very introverted, but I do a lot of extroverted stuff. People see
Okay.
me out, they may see me perform or out in the gym or whatever. They think I'm, this outgoing type of guy, which I can be, but lo and behold, I just like to chill. I like to relax. I like to come home, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to my den and
Chill out.
just chill out, listen to music, write music, and just be at peace. So I think that's one thing people probably don't realize about me. They probably look at the pictures or whatever, look at the videos, like, yeah, he's a very outgoing guy. No, not all
Mm-hmm.
the time.
It's called performance, people, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's called performance. And what should we expect? What's
You.
coming? I know that Born a King is
Yeah.
relatively new,
It is.
but
Expect a
a,
follow up
okay.
single very soon. Expect another collaboration between myself and Najee. I'm just waiting him to get back to me with his horn parts and everything. So that'll be coming very soon. Expect more music. Expect most likely an EP. I'll probably drop
Ah,
one more. I probably drop one more single before I drop the full length EP because it seems like we're living in a time where all people want is singles right now. They're not really
yeah,
checking for full length projects.
yeah.
Once this music industry opens up, expect to see me live on stage somewhere because we got to get out of these houses and back on the
Yeah,
stage.
and back
So
and back on
yeah,
stage and full
we
houses.
got to feel that energy from the crowd.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lamone, thank you so much for sharing your time this morning and energy.
Thank you as well, Michelle.
Born to be a King. What
Yes.
label is it? I know it's independent, but
Very independent. Right now, I'm with Righteous Music Media.
okay.
Shout out to Miles, my manager, and Jay Ross, who's been helping me with the promotion. But yeah, I'm pretty much very much independent right now, unsigned. So
But it's
yeah,
good music. It's
I
good
thank
music.
you. I try to put out music of quality because I have to compete with people like Eric Benet, the Maxwells, all those guys that people love to compare me to. So I'm like, all right, well, if I gotta compete with these brothers, I'm coming hard.
And that is understandable.
Yeah.
Again, thank you, Lamone
Thank you
Andrews,
as
so
well.
much for being here this morning. I hope to have you back because I'd like to talk
I'll
to you
be
about
back.
your songwriting process. So
Absolutely. We can talk
think
about that.
about that. All right.
Will do.
This has been The Collective on WSME Enlightenment Radio. See you soon.
Bye, y'all. 1 2 1 2. We're gonna send this one out to all the brothers of the world. I got something I wanna say. Just like life, still alright. 'Cause I am wise enough to know, even though I want to be a king, I ain't strong enough to handle everything that comes my way. Yet through it all, still I rise, born to be. Can't get enough of this magic, so they go and copy my magic. Why they wanna take all my magic away from me? I'm amazing, I am strong, but I've been down much too long. Lock me up, encage me, steal my crown in glory. I often wonder why society is so afraid of me. Why they're so scared of me, but they won't steal from me. Enough to know, even though I want to be a king, said.
Keep rising to the top, yeah. Don't you let nobody stop you. Just like a light, still around. Born to be just like a light, still around.
Yo, my guys, what it look like, man.
What's up, Rap?
Hey, this is the Hustle Within, episode 18, man. Hey, we've been making it. I still can't believe they gave us a second season, man. It's hard to believe, man. Oh my God, that's Death Row. Death Row's in the building. Death Row's in the building. Hey, I got my man King C Los, and I got K Mill 652 in the house. Hey, how was y'all weekend, man? How's everything going? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Pretty good.
This is SM Enlightenment Television, The Hustle Within, episode 18. Man, y'all ready? We moving along.
Oh, yeah, we ready.
This is moving great.
Gotta feed these streets.
We're gonna jump right into it. You know how we do it. We're gonna jump right into it. Since this is International Women Month, Women Month and International Women Week, we decided to talk about some of the women that changed history. Women activists, the top 5 most important women activists of all time.
Yep.
King C. Los, what you got for me, man? I know you got. Just think real quick and just come up with something. Female that changed history.
Rosa Parks.
Okay, that was a good one. That's definitely a good one. She did change history, but she didn't make this top 5.
I don't know how she didn't.
I know. I'm saying what I was thinking too.
Hey, who that producer? Who the producer?
Man.
They said because she was a red bone and the dark skinned girl did it first.
Hey.
Here we go. What do you want? Cut.
K Mills.
Cut.
Oh
my God.
Hey, know what they said? Know what they said at school?
Oh God. We starting to show off like this.
K Mill 652, who you got for me, man? I know you got somebody. Just give me a wild guess.
Yeah, I'm going to this chick. I think her name Mary, because I used to have a crush on this woman named Mary. So I'm gonna go with that one. I'm going with Mary. I forgot her last name.
Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. I know you've been reading my notes.
I thought he was gonna say like, yeah, never mind.
I know he been reading my notes, man.
Hey, she got
the top 5, man. We got number 1, Allison Paul. Number 2, Maud Wood Park. Right? 3, Mary, K Mills homegirl, Mary Bethune.
Make a mean sweet potato pie.
Oh, yep. And then we got number 4, Rose. Who was that? Stottleman. Number 4. And then number 5, we got Eleanor Roosevelt. Out of those top 5s.
That name sound more familiar than everybody, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey, and we're gonna go right into it. K Mills. I mean, since you know about Mary, K Mills, tell me a little bit about Mary.
Nah, man. Like I said, she make a mean sweet potato pie. You can't get it now, but back in the day, that's all I can tell you.
Okay, what about you, King C. Los? You know any of these activists that's on this list? Eleanor Roosevelt, Maud Wood Park, Allison Paul, Mary Bethune. I know y'all know that name. The last name is very familiar, Bethune.
Sorry. The only Park I know is Rosa, and she was left off. I'm mad.
Yeah. I was the same way. Like, yo, she was a civil rights activist. These are more of women rights activists.
So let me explain.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So like for the women's right, for like minimum wage and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
voting.
Mm-hmm.
The amendment for voting. They like Allison Paul. Let's go into Allison Paul was known as a strategist uh, of campaigns for the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. She was born in 1885. She died in 1977, and she was part of the National Women's History Movement. So that's the type of women that we're talking about tonight. These are women that changed history for women.
Mm-hmm.
Then Maud Wood Park. She's from Boston, Mass. She was born 1917. I'm sorry, she started working as a National American Woman Suffrage Association, in which she had the task to attain approval from Congress for this amendment. So this was from 1917 to 1919. Then you got Dr. Mary Bethune, which everybody should know, Bethune-Cookman, which is a
Yeah,
college,
college. Yeah.
HBCU,
Marooning. Yeah,
named after
maroon,
her.
maroon and
Okay.
gold, maroon and white.
Now she is a civil rights activist, a human, uh, a philanthropist, a statesman, uh, well, a stateswoman. She's an advisor. She was advisor for President FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, which she helped form the Black Cabinet. The Black Cabinet, one of the famous HBCUs, was Bethune-Cookman. That's named after her, Bethune-Cookman University. And then Rose Steineman, founder of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. So she's one of the founders of a union. And she was one of the first to form a union for all women. So that's very. And then Eleanor Roosevelt, which is FDR's wife. She also served as the longest first lady in the history of the White House. She was a delegate to the United Nations. She was a part of the General Assembly for Women Rights, Human Rights, part of the Presidential Commission on the Status of Women. So all these women changed the perspective of what's going to happen in history for women. And right now, what do y'all think about the voters? The voters movement, like the right to vote for females. I mean, women. What are y'all thoughts on that? Like some of the changes that they did that they was part of. Starting with you, King Celos.
I mean, I guess it was about damn time. I guess
Right.
you know, uh, for so
Man.
long in this country we had voter suppression, and
Right.
you weren't a male, you couldn't vote. A lot of people don't know, like, blacks got the right to vote
And they didn't count.
before women.
Before women, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like all that stuff is like, I sum it up about damn time.
Right.
But not to take away from, some of the women that were impactful and a part of that movement. I think it's a big deal. I think women vote more now than ever. They are a pivotal voting bloc when it comes to
They
swaying.
changed this election.
Yeah,
Think
they
about it. They
change,
really
they
changed
change
this
the election.
election.
I think it's women from the suburbs, right? You just kind of think through that. Women from the suburbs really changed the election. It was a huge swing from 2016 to 2020 in favor of Joe Biden. So big shout out to all the women, of course. I'm a big fan.
I'm
Having
a very big fan.
I won't go with
Very.
how because
I'm part of the biggest fan. I'm part of the biggest fan in the history.
yeah, I know you
Women.
are. Yeah.
I'm a very big fan.
So
Okay,
that's
what about you, K Mill 652? What you got, man?
But yeah, that brought me like back when they first let black people vote. Period, and they had like the black votes right here. You couldn't put them in the other box, but you put in the black votes, and then they threw the box away. I'm pretty sure they did the women like that when they first agreed. But not every state. It was only certain states that did that. They threw them votes away.
Right. They still throw votes away right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We came a long way, but they still throwing them away now.
Yeah, they're still throwing. They look at me and say, "Oh,
think
this Anthony. Who this Anthony? Oh, throw it in the trash."
But I think there was a point where women, I mean, like women were considered as second class citizens at one point too, right? It was like, all right, the man does this, the man does that. And it was
Mhm.
kind of written into our constitution the way kind of everything transpired over
Yeah,
the years.
yeah, yeah.
It
Yeah,
was like, and you take a back seat. You don't speak until
Right.
you're spoken to. You don't make a decision until your husband come home to make it
right.
for you.
And it
Right.
didn't matter what color you was neither. It didn't matter if you were black or white. It was the same thing for the women.
So yeah, women across all racial lines were
Yep.
kind of, segregated to that second class citizenship. So now
Yep.
you see what women are doing. I mean, like most of our guests,
Mhm.
with the exception of one person, have been women. And you just kind of fast forward and look over history, like, man, women came a long way. Their struggle was totally different from a man's, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
When you kind of break it up. But like women are doing it like big time.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so, like you said, women has they've been the backbone of a lot of things in the history of like because behind every strong man is a strong woman. If you really look at it, and
Yep.
a lot of times they are the thinkers behind that strong man. They make the
Mhm.
logic decisions behind the strong man. Like even though we step up to the plate and do what we got to do, you got a lot of women behind these men that are giving them that decision power to say, "Hey, you should do this. You should go this way. You should go that." They the backbone of the world, pretty much. Women are the backbone of the world.
It's interesting you say that because I'm a very strong man and very very single. So I'm
Yeah,
not.
me too.
I don't,
So
Yeah,
I
me
don't
I
too.
guess
Me
my
three.
mama the backbone
Me
then.
I don't
three.
know what my woman
Me
is.
three.
Lowe's, I guess our mama's the backbone. The backbone.
Wait, hold up.
Me
I'm
three.
doing it out here by myself.
Hey, I've been making these decisions for by myself for the last
I'm not sure where
God.
Oh man.
like real talk. Like
Yeah.
for
I've been
us,
making a
right?
lot of decisions. I
Bringing
need
it
that
Hey,
in.
strong black woman. Or
hey, I,
black. Young lady. I need a strong young lady
I
Yeah,
behind
you
definitely
me.
need one.
was
Hey,
gonna
I make a lot of wrong decisions.
women. We talk about all women, but a real good woman,
All women. Yeah.
like I
I
mean, like
love
I
all
did
women.
a lot of different things by myself.
Hmm.
So if you out there, lady, special lady,
Hmm.
you're on my level, holla at me because this train has already been moving. It's been moving up the
Hmm.
mountain. So I need somebody that's going to support that and get behind that, contribute to it, not just punch a ticket and just
Hmm.
take the ride. I need somebody to be putting in work too. You feel me? So I'm a
Yeah.
strong, powerful man, and I'm making out. I'm doing my thing out here. So just want to give a shout out and put and profile and market myself out there as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right,
Yes,
right.
sir. K Mills. Do you want to put an advertisement out there for the Oprah? Cause you pretty much
Oh,
stole it from me
like
last week.
Oprah already know that. All I want is my child support.
Hey, you pretty much just stole it away from me last week. You know how you did me last week. So let me go ahead. Do you want to, since we talking about women today,
Mhm.
do you want to give a shout out to Miss Oprah? Because you
Yeah, give
stole
us
it away from me last week.
yeah, give us a shout out. It's tax time coming around. Just hook your boy up with something.
Yeah, yeah. Holler at your boy.
You get a house. You get a house.
Oh
But
man.
man, any final thoughts? Anybody you thought should have made the list that didn't make the list? I know you said Rosa Parks, King
Yeah.
Celos. She was
Yep.
more of a civil rights activist, so she was for everybody, all blacks. Uh, and she was a part of the civil rights movement. Okay, anybody else that you looked at and say, hey, maybe this person should have been in, you know, activists from. Now these are defining women of history. I mean, these
Hmm.
women was born back in the 1800s and 1900s, the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm. Um, and shame on me for not knowing the name. And I was actually watching a really good documentary on Netflix
Mm-hmm.
regarding Harriet Tubman, right? And I'm not just talking about from a perspective of just the black plight and the black movement, right? I
Right.
thought Harriet Tubman was symbolic of, North versus South. We're talking about the country being divided
Right.
and really the Underground Railroad and how that led to, folks, and it wasn't all black people just helping blacks escape the South into the North. It was white people as well. So I think that was the defining moment in that in everything that kind of transpired, and if you really kind of dive in and peel back some of the layers, not Rosa Parks, I'm sorry, Harriet Tubman's actions was a defining moment for women, and women to the respect of stepping out of the shadows of men and really coming into their own. So if you really think about that, she that lit the fire, and I think a lot of the Rosa Parks of the world and Harriet Tubman's really inspired white women to step up and say, if they can do it, we can. And look where we are now.
Okay, with that being said, we're gonna jump into the next segment. And I think this is another touchy segment. That's a topic that a lot of people don't like to really touch on, but we have to really touch on it. So the shooting the breeze topic tonight is basically saying, should women be head coaches in men-driven professional sports, or should they play and should they be able to play into these men-driven professional sports? Now,
Okay, kick us off, Billy.
kick us off, K Mills 652. I know you got something for me.
Well, I think it's already a woman that played keep the field goals in the NFL. I may be wrong, but I know they do in college.
In
And
college,
it's
no,
definitely
not in the NFL. I ain't never seen no woman in the NFL
it's
kick field
definitely
goals.
women. It's definitely a women head coach. Well, a women's coach in the NFL.
Yeah,
Washington
women
Redskins got me.
coaches, but not head coaches. Now,
Yeah.
remember, should they be head coaches?
Yeah, I mean, I can see them being a head coach in basketball, baseball, but see, women really can't play football like that unless they kickers. So I ain't saying they ain't tough enough. I'm just saying, how can you coach something that you really ain't never played? But anything is possible. I mean, if they got the skills to do it, let them do it.
Okay, now King Silos.
So in order to keep my reputation with
That's why I said K Mills done lost his reputation. He done
Oh no,
lost his rep. That's why I hurry up and move
I
to
said they
K
can
Mills.
coach, man. I said they already coach basketball and they're coaching football. At Washington, I'm just saying, as a head coach for the NFL, it's hard for me to. If I was the GM or the owner, it'd be hard for me to hire a woman as a head coach because I know she never played football. Now she played football when she was in high school or ninth grade or something. Of course, I hire her because she know the sport. You got to play it to know it.
All right,
Well,
King Silos.
I'll put it this way. I think women can, I think they can do a lot of things men can do,
Right.
with regards to coaching and all that stuff. And I'll leave it like that, right? I'm not going to get into the details of like, all right, well, they may be
Because you
able
got to remember now,
I'm
just
like,
being
whatever.
for real,
Yeah,
the sports are driven by analytics.
you're
And
right.
I think anybody can step up and be analytics. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got jobs like data analyst or a business analyst, and that's
Right.
what the sports are driven by right now.
Right.
Analytics. It's not about if I played, this person played. Most of the people they hire right now for sports are analytic genius. People
They
that
don't.
they look at as analytic geniuses.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, yeah, definitely. I believe a female can coach in any of these sports right now from a head coaching perspective because of the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, MSL, MLS
Right.
are all based on analytics.
Right. And they can probably to even take it another level. Like there's a lot of guys in the GM role.
Right,
I mean, think about that never played the sport,
right.
but they're general managers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I mean, just kind of put that in perspective of like someone that didn't play, man or female. I
right.
mean, like to your point, and it's driven by analytics.
Yeah.
And if you can put 1+1 and get 2, then you're good. If
You put the right player
put
here, the right
1
player there,
and get 4,
game over.
yeah, we ain't gonna hire you. If you can't
But
match,
your players got to respect you as a coach, or you can't win.
oh yeah,
You're right, but
I mean, but that's changing. The dynamics of that is changing. Look at
yes,
who was it? Jerry, the Chicago Bulls general manager, who put together one of the best franchises.
Yeah, but he won't the coach though. Phil Jackson was the coach.
But he's higher than the coach. But if
GM,
you see what I mean,
What's his name? Roseman or something?
I don't know,
Jerry.
but they didn't like him. None of them liked him, though, remember? Jordan, all none of the players didn't like him.
Like him. But look what you can't touch what he did.
Yeah, he put it together, but he didn't coach it. He didn't win no games. He just put it together.
He didn't coach it, but he put it together.
Yeah, he put it together.
What that means is the mastermind is, it's the players for most. The coaches get a lot of credit as well.
The coaching the players.
K Mills touch on something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This is another question I'm gonna relate to both of y'all. He just said it. Do you feel women would get the same respect factor in these professional sports as head coaches or professional players? I'm not saying professional WNBA. I'm talking about female crossing over, being a professional in the NBA.
Yeah, in the NBA, I can see it in the NBA. It's the NFL was hard. What I was saying,
NFL, I'm saying like females crossing over to be in the NFL and Major League Soccer and
all the sports. See, every sport that a woman could play, they people will respect them. But like I say, football, it ain't too many women that play football. So as a head coach, it's gonna be hard for the women to get the respect from the players. But it's possible.
But I mean, do you think females can cross over and play professional football?
I mean, like I said, some of them keep field goals. I done seen them keep. Matter of fact, when I was coaching, we had a girl that played linebacker.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I wasn't coaching the team though. I was coaching basketball now. So don't fire me.
I'm not talking about just a field goal kicker. I'm talking about actually going out there playing linebacker.
Yeah, she played linebacker.
So let me
play linebacker.
Going with that. I think you're asking if women can play in the NFL, and my answer would be it would be very difficult, very challenging.
Yeah,
to play in the NFL.
It's a test. It's a measuring stick.
Okay, well, it ain't a test for me because I already have the answer. Okay. Right? I created the answer. But the fact is that it's going to be tough because of the physical nature of the game, right? That's the speed of the game, and all those other things. So don't get it twisted. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any woman because I have a lot of women in my life. The fact is that are family, women. That are family ladies. But the fact is that it's a different world, a different, ideally we would want to think we're all equal with respect to things that, we're talking about right now, sport. But the fact is, and these are facts, imagine allowing a man to play, in the WNBA.
Somebody tried it.
Michael Jordan to play in the WNBA. There would be uproars how unfair it is. And it's the same to the reverse of that. So we got to be careful about when we're talking about men and women and all that stuff. We were created by our creator differently. Differently. The key word is differently. And that's what it is.
Okay, so now my next question for you
go ahead.
Is which professional male-driven sport do you see a female being able to play and put up good numbers out of all the sports? Now, name like NHL,
basketball,
NBA,
and track.
Okay, and King CeeLo, what you think? Baseball, basketball, football, hockey.
Yeah, baseball too.
Soccer.
Now, see, I because I haven't seen it, I don't want to project that it could happen, right? I mean, we say basketball. I mean, there's this level of skill that you have to perform at in the professional basketball league. You talk about softball versus baseball, different. I mean, the ball's coming at you.
Yeah, your ball bigger.
Power is a lot smaller. All those things.
And now that softball, the women that pitch, that softball be going about 80 miles per hour too. Now when they throw,
I played baseball with girls, man, on our team. Baseball.
Yeah, but baseball. Yeah.
Well, and again, I'm not trying to. We're talking about professional sports. We're not talking about high school. We're also talking. I'm keeping it real. I want to make sure we're staying on point. And there's a reason why they kept it separate, like track and field. You take your fastest woman and you line her up against Usain Bolt. Are you going to put your money against Usain Bolt? That's a question.
Oh no, of course
Okay,
not.
okay, yeah, that was a question. Don't all go at once.
Oh yeah, but what was that relay team the USA had with them 4 women back in the day?
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna tell you like this. Now, when it comes to track and field, now you got some women that's right there with them guys when it comes to the running the 100, running the 200.
That relay team we
Jackie
had.
Joyner Kersey was one of them. She was one of the tops in the history. Track and field is easy to cross over because they
Mm-hmm.
already crossed over.
Yeah,
Track and field are already part of.
they base times off each other.
Yeah, they
But
already like you already like track and field is already one of them sports that's like combined together.
but don't discount. And I think women are more than capable of doing anything a man can. But don't discount the mental aspect of the game.
Right.
You know, you line yourself up against a bunch of, like it's like walking into the building and you're the only woman. And then, it's still some of those factors that kind of weigh in. And sometimes we can lose before we actually compete. So if we think that we're less than our competitor, we go into the competition already five steps behind.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind, the mental aspect of it. But again, I'm not trying to diss anyone because I think, and there's going to come a point, maybe 50 years, 60 years down the road, where, the sports are integrated and everyone is equal, right?
Right.
I just don't know if we're at that point now. And I think it's premature for us to be, speculating
Now,
because
my last question before we go into it, we go into what's coming up next, that K Mill story to tell. But before we go into that, hey, the last question: do you think, looking at the WNBA, they got a pay increase?
Mm-hmm.
Now, should they be getting the same amount of money that the NBA players are getting? And just same thing when you're looking at some of the other sports that's like has that they trade off, like track and field. The professional track and field players on both sides, the male and female, should they be getting the same endorsements? Same amount of money in their endorsements. Same thing, equal pay. They play in the professional sports. WNBA is still considered NBA. It's still professional women's basketball. Should they get at least they're not even getting half of what the men getting.
all right, so I'll say it this way. I think I think I think it should be driven by ratings and it should be driven by
It is.
sales, right?
It
So
is.
it should be that. It should, I shouldn't give you $100 million if you have one person that shows up to your game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
It
issue.
makes sense.
They don't put the marketing dollars behind the WNBA like they do with the NBA. That's
Yeah,
what
Well,
we got to think about too, from the marketing standpoint.
but you
the
also have,
NBA is carrying it.
but you also have to look at it from a trends perspective, right?
Right.
You're a businessman. So the trends is that because you have a more established market and a more established product, it makes sense to continue on with that, putting the marketing behind it. The WNBA, 20 years old, if that.
Right.
So
It's
That's
growing
what I
though.
want to
It's
get
still
to.
growing. It's still growing. Yeah.
marketing
Been
behind
around
the
20
NBA
years.
when it first started out was
And
not
what
all.
I'm gonna tell you what messed up the WNBA because they paired them off with the NBA teams. The WNBA started off as pair teams. You think about it, the Hornets had a team, and then they had the women Hornets. Then they had every team had their own pair of female team. They should
Mm-hmm.
have separated the leagues from day one and just market both leagues separately and gain the momentum of that's how the players will be getting that type of money right now from the WNBA. Like you said, they 20 years old, but they really only 10 years of really making marketing money, marketing dollars, promotional money. So that's why I think they messed up at when they first started the WNBA league. They should have started off separately. They shouldn't have the same teams driving together. Like when you had an NBA team, you had also a WNBA team that was locked in together.
Yeah, because the NBA team were paying for the women
That's what
team.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even most of the owners of the WNBA teams own the NBA teams. So
Yeah.
it
They
was
had to get money
apparent.
from somewhere. Yeah.
Well,
So they share the same market.
I'm very proud of the fact that they have a WNBA. They have something for women, right? And you know, again, I don't know what the future may hold, but what I do know is right now, and is that we still live in a society where we still have biases. We still live in a society where we're still questioning whether women and men are paid equally for the same job. Forget sports. We're talking about doctor, dentist,
Mm-hmm.
CEO, CEO. Looking at that,
Hey, Lowe's, before you go in that rap, we gonna, hey, we gonna talk about that soon. That's gonna be
you
another
know,
topic. I got that coming up. We got that coming up before we go into that. I know, hey. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go into the K meal. We're gonna leave us shooting the breeze segment. Any final thoughts before we move this segment real quick? Any
no,
final thoughts?
big supporter of women's sports and everything that we're talking about here. I would love to see a woman cross over and be a head coach, a GM, participate physically in men's sports. I would love to see it. I love it. And I would encourage our young ladies to continue to push that on their kids and their daughters to go out and support women and young lady sports.
Yes. K Mills, any final thoughts before we go into the story detail segment?
Nah,
I know you got a good one.
I'm good.
Okay, well, since you so good, we're gonna see how good this story detail segment is. We're gonna jump right into it. This
Oh,
is
but
the K Mills. I got stories. I'm sipping on. This ain't nothing but just
is that
water.
gin and juice?
This is just water, man. I'm just drinking on water. Fiji water. That's all I'm
Yes,
drinking.
sir.
So we're
Hey,
gonna jump right into it. The K Mills story to tell segment. Take it away, K Mills. I'm gonna sit
You
back and
gotta,
sip on my Fiji water.
they gotta feed these streets.
Feed these streets.
All right, check this out, right? Y'all remember from the story last week that the chick I parked my car at the chick house, the little Latino chick with the green eyes and the long hair. All
Okay.
right, so
Yeah, that
this
sounds like
week
my
is
baby
about her.
mama.
Oh yeah, it could be your baby mama. Now I ain't gonna show you her face. Now I ain't gonna show you the face on this one.
Oh,
Y'all can't see her
oh, well,
face.
no mind. Ain't no.
So check this out, right? So me and this chick been talking for 2 weeks since I parked my car at the house. So one day she like, yo, come check me out. I said, you know what? I ain't doing nothing. So I come check you out. So I go over there. As soon as I walk in the house, I see 3 chicks, other chicks there. I'm like, oh man, I done hollered at all 3 of these chicks and got their number on my phone. I said, what is she trying to set me up? But nah, she won't. She sat on the couch. She told me to come sit with her. I sat down. The other chicks stayed like 5 more minutes later. Then they left. Soon them chicks left. Old girl snatched my but she snatched my clothes off and went to bob. She turned to a bobblehead. I said, "Oh my god!"
Oh, not a bobblehead. Not a baseball bobblehead.
Oh man, she looking at me with them green eyes. So she like, "Yo, let's go back there in the room." I said, "Okay, all right." So we go back there in the room. Now I put the Jimmy on extra tight. So I get her. I'm on top of the getting or whatever. So I'm like, "Yo, what is that?" Matter of fact, I know that smell. You probably got a dead rat in your vent or something. She like, probably. So I'm like,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
so I'm like, yo, I said, matter of fact,
Oh my god. Let's put the shades on.
turn
I
over.
gotta put the shades on this one.
I said, I said, turn over. She turned over. So, I went to doing my thing and I said, man, I don't know, man. So I went ahead and started. I said, you know what? I got to go. So I went on in the bathroom, whatever. The gym is still on, whatever. I'm finna take it off. I touched it with my hand and I happened to put my hand by my nose. I said, oh my God.
Oh my god, Lord Jesus. Oh my god.
So I didn't. I just left it on. Look, I just left it on. I ain't even take it off. I said, "Yo, show, I'm gonna holler at you, show. I'm about to bounce." So I go to my car, pop the trunk, and get. I had the rims and junk, so I got the spray that you spray on the tire. I sprayed it on my hand. Smell me. I'm like, yo, it still smell like that, yo. So I said, man, I can't touch my steering wheel like this. So I put a towel on my steering wheel. I drove to the nearest gas station, went in the bathroom, started washing my hands, wash my hand, smell my hand. I'm like, yo, it still ain't off yet.
Oh my god.
So I goes home, wash my hand again. I put Clorox, dish detergent, still got the smell. And I still got the Jimmy on. I said, man, I'm finna jump in the shower with the Jimmy on. So I took a shower with it on, then I took it off and flushed it down the commode.
Oh my god.
like three days later, the chick gonna call me. She like, you gonna come see me again? I'm like, I don't know. She said, I got something for you. I said, what you got for me? She said, I got a homegirl over here. We both want to see you.
Huh?
I said, huh? I said, matter of fact,
Dang.
I said, nah, you know what? I said, tell me off of Martin. Called me and said, Martin got a boot on his car. And he ain't gonna be able to make it to work. So I got to go into work for him. Click and hung up.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, Bill.
Oh man.
Oh my God, man.
My God.
Hey, man. K-Bill Story to Tell segments, man. They get.
This is where we got to go to
We gotta
church.
feed these streets. We gotta feed these streets. Let me tell you, shades.
Gotta
off,
feed
man.
these streets.
Hey, these shades look pretty good though. Yeah, you right. Hey, man.
Hey, the word of the day is unfriended.
Unfriended, blocked, don't want to be out. Hey, man.
Oh man.
Hey, don't get in them type of situations. Stay out of the way. Stay out the way. But hey, we're gonna go to our break. We gotta go to our sponsors real quick. Forever Young, Beauties and Cosmetic. Ladies, this is Ladies Month. This is the month for ladies. Go to the website. Go to the website. Get you something nice. She has everything up there on that website. All for y'all. Captain Venture Partners. If you want to invest, make sure you go to K Mills. Now remember, you just heard the story now. K Mills 652 and King C. Los. Go to them. They are the money men, the real money men. 180 haircut in studio and male spa. Make sure you
Call
go
me
get
now.
Hey, get your hair done. Cut. Guys, go get your hair cut. Hey, go get groomed up. You know, we gotta keep it nice and fresh for the ladies out here now. We be right back. SM Enlightenment Television. This is The Hustle Within, episode 18. We be back after these messages. Keep it locked.
I'll let them.
Positive tips for a better life with Terry Finnegan Lynch.
Do you ever hear yourself say, I just can't? Maybe because it's something new, or maybe you've failed before. But what if instead you say, yes, I can? Wouldn't that feel better? Give it a try. I'm a health and life coach, and these are Terry's positive tips.
WSME. Positive tips for a better life with Terry Finnegan Lynch.
Consider the difference between owning a mistake and blaming someone else for it. When I own a mistake, it's mine to change. But when I blame someone else for it, I stay stuck in the experience. So consider both. And if you own a mistake, then you can grow from it. I'm a health and life coach, and these are Terry's positive tips for a better life.
WSME.